Sorry for the delay, but we're ready to dive in. We don't have anyone scheduled yet to come in from department heads and committee chairs, but the invitation's been sent out to them if they would like to come in and advocate for their original budgets. But we also, as we go through, if we want to have somebody come in, we will make sure that that happens. Last Wednesday, I was at the Suffolk County Supervisors meeting in Riverhead, and everybody is facing an increase this year. 8 out of 10 towns are going to be piercing the tax cap. Babylon's currently at 9.9% with their tentative budget. I think Riverhead was 7.6%. East Hampton and Southampton, one of them is like, I think 6%, another one's at 5%. The only two who are not piercing the cap are Smithtown and Huntington so far. So we are not alone this year. The increases, I think, in the retirement and health insurance costs are pushing everybody over the edge this year. So just thought I'd start out that we're not alone. We're currently the highest tentative budget by 0.3%. We're definitely not alone. So anyways, normally for those who are new to the budget process, we start at the beginning and go through page by page to see what we want to take a look at, who we want to have come in, any ideas for
Can I start, and not to put you on the spot, but it will seem like that. I mean, we're at 10.2%, which is high compared to previous years. Last year during the budget hearings, you expressed to the supervisor at that time that we were going to be in trouble this year. Where do I see, I mean, the expenses that were incurred last year, the Fresh Pond evaluation and study, then the pilot project to appear the equipment to find if the efficacy of the pilot project worked. The wastewater treatment plant at Clenowicz is preserved, then the wastewater treatment plant at Manwaring, and the PW Grosser secret reviews for those projects. How much was spent, and where did the money come from?
those were grant funded.
They were all grant funded? Everything, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, so the PW Grosser, the Lombardo Associates, that was all, came from.
It was all grant funding?
County and state.
All right, and I know last year, was it last year or the year before, we got federal COVID money?
Yes.
And
that's the only capital project that we have in this year is half of the high water rescue vehicle. So even though last year we had $235,000 in the capital budget, most of that was paid for with ARPA money. So the only thing that we couldn't duplicate even capital project money this year, because that would be another 2% increase in the budget.
right, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're not putting me on the spot. I have ripped this budget.
I mean, I know you were very frustrated last year.
Yeah.
And gave alarms for this year, and
Yeah, and little did I know how much the retirement costs and the health insurance costs were going to go up. So just employment costs with just the built-in, cost of inflation raise, as well as, the union contracted raises, that's over 5% of this budget increase. So there's nothing that we can do there.
And just to clarify for people, the ARPA money is the COVID money. People
Yes.
keep calling it
Oh,
COVID
yes,
money, but
yes.
it's ARPA is also what it's referred to, just for people in the audience who don't know that.
What might be helpful as well is, in general, for this budget, $100,000 is how many percent?
And 1% of the budget is $118,225.
Okay,
So for us to not even pierce the tax cap, that would be $236,000. So that, I think, is our health insurance cost increase for the year.
Okay.
Where are we, town board?
Yes.
In light of the 10.2, even though it might be a token, I don't want to accept a raise as a council person this year. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I know it's not a lot, but it's, I just don't want to take it.
My counter to that is, it's not going to make much of a difference in the budget, but we did have representatives from the Republican and Democratic Party come in and ask us to change our meeting time so that they would be able to attract more people to run for office. I feel if we keep the salary deflated, then we ensure that only retired and self-employed people can step forward to do this, because it is a huge time commitment. And there may be one other town that has lower town board salaries than us, but they're also structured differently. They have town trustees who do the water, waterways, moorings and docks and bulkheads things. So I counter with that we're.
I understand. It is to attract younger people, but under the circumstance, I don't feel comfortable taking, even though it's a token amount, it's not a lot of money in terms of the overall budget by any means. I don't feel comfortable taking it.
Look, I don't feel comfortable either, but it's really important that we start ramping up these jobs so that we can attract a more broad selection of people. I think that's one of the most important things we need to consider over time, going forward. I don't want to turn it into a real job, but it needs to be more substantial so that people will be willing to do it.
Yeah. I mean, what was interesting is the 5 East End supervisors, we sat around after the meeting last week and we were talking about where different salaries were, and also where, who had offices, in Southold, our people, if you want to come in and work, you're here, and you have to work around the use of this meeting room. Most other towns, I think, again, with the exception of Southold, there's a legislative aide or two for each town board member. And it's
That would be nice.
So they were like, oh, so what do you have? And I'm like, we have one person shared between all 5 of us. I have Judy as confidential secretary, but she also runs the payroll, so that's a huge piece of her job as well. But we have Christina, who covers some meetings, assistance to town attorney, and us. So, yeah.
At least we're lucky not to have good people, or a good person.
Yes. But so it was very interesting as we were all comparing notes, because everybody's, was lamenting over where their budgets were headed.
I understand what everybody's saying. I just don't want it. That's all. So put a line through. I'll stick with last year's, whatever. I know it's token, but I don't feel comfortable.
Maybe the middle ground here is to talk about raising salaries after the current term is up.
Well, that doesn't work because most of us won't be here. After the term is up, what do you mean?
Well,
Because everyone's on years. We stagger. We're all on different
yeah,
terms.
well, after each individual, the next incoming board member.
Prior to your term being expired. Right.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. See where you're going with it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't,
Fortunately.
yeah, it just doesn't work. Right, well, we can circle back to this.
Yeah.
Professional services.
Mhm.
What does that, cover?
In there, excuse me, we have Cullen and Danowski, which is our contract accountants. So
Right.
we have Shelby as our accounting clerk, but they come in and you can speak better, they do the journal entries, they do the bank
So you
reconciliation.
review all of my monthly work, just to make sure that everything is,
It's like an audit.
Yeah. yes. And then they also help with the year end, wrapping up the financials for the year. They work with the auditing firm to get all their information. So yes, that's,
So I have in the budget for that 62,500 for next year. Lamb and Barnowski is our labor council, and so we have a retainer agreement, we utilize them. 74,000 in the budget for that. Our grant writer, Jen Mesianos, I have her in for 15,600.
That's
Yeah, she's, worth every penny. Yeah, good amount of money. General code is the town code books. I don't know if anyone's using, they do keep it online. I don't know if, does anyone use the paper copies anymore? No, that's 2250. GASB 75, 4650, which is,
Sorry, Ann, if
Yeah.
you took that.
yeah, sorry, I'm like,
I mumbled.
GASB 75 is the,
I get these mixed up.
I know, I'm like trying to blank. It has to do with our pension, employee retirement benefits. PW Grosser. What did I put them in? I think I put them in for 10,540, 18,500, because we're going to be using them more for Secra.
It is, now I get PW Gross is on retainer. They have a retainer. We have an agreement with them.
It's not a retainer, they're just on call. Like when we have something that needs to go to them, they bill us for whatever the work is.
Okay,
But it's
okay.
not, we don't have them, they don't get paid a monthly fee like Labor Council does.
Okay.
PH, I do not remember what PH was. Oh, okay, outside counsel, and we need to use them. And then miscellaneous
What was the amount last year?
for Perillo Hill,
Yeah,
just shy of 7,000.
their hourly
So far,
rate
yeah, so
is-
far this year, I'm expecting we'll close out the year, we'll close out to 14,000
and
For outside counsel.
for outside
For
counsel.
2023, what was the number?
I didn't go back and analyze that, I might have it in last year's budget, but if I wanted to grab it.
And their hourly rate, if I recall, is 250,
275,
275?
Yeah.
Which is,
reasonable.
yeah.
Yeah, very reasonable.
And then just a couple $1,000s thrown in there for miscellaneous. So barring any big lawsuits, 200,000 for professional fees.
Thank you.
Okay, tearing this budget apart.
That all adds up to 200?
Yes. Yeah, with the, cost of living increase thrown in there.
Going to, up to Ethics Board Professional Services. We had 4,000 in the budget last year, but they haven't really used any. Are they planning on taking something on that's going to require professional services? Or can we knock that down?
I already, I knocked it down because I just didn't know if I'd be hamstringing them. And we could bring Jeff in and ask him. Or just have him answer the questions. So I'll test with reaching out to him.
Knock $1,000 off of that.
Mhm. The other thing in here is the Association of Towns. I have put in, but we could scale back all over the place. All of us have been there, to the Association of Towns, so I'll just see who I put in for this next year. We will have a new board member, so
Yeah, they should go.
they should definitely go. I think I put in myself, 2 town board members, Shelby, I think one other person.
So Albany, not
No,
New York
No,
City.
it's from New York City.
this would be New York City and also Albany for the new person. So they could go to the newly elected.
Yeah, I found Albany extremely helpful.
So, yeah, I had, oh no, actually 8,200. Yeah, it's about 1,400 per person. So I actually,
Did you do the whole?
I'm a little, well,
oh, Stephen was in there.
I would like to go and that costs less,
Right.
because I don't need a hotel or housing.
Yeah, I had myself, the new board member, Stephen, Shelby, Diet, and Dixon. Yeah, I didn't have you because you're up for reelection, so I figured
Yeah.
get back to where we rotated board members through based upon election cycles.
That's good. All right, I'm going back up to right below. We did ethics board and then for office and miscellaneous. I'm wondering if there's this billing that hasn't gone out. This last year, the budget was modified to 9,800. We've used 700,
So what page you on?
page 1.
Office and miscellaneous, last year in 2023, we ended up spending $13,758 in revenue.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
So I don't know, Shelby, if you can shed some light on that. So I think that's why I left it.
Yeah, fine.
I'm gonna cut it, but
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm taking out my extra scissors.
yeah, exactly.
And then, yeah, same question kind of for print and advertising. But that's only, I mean, we'll probably get close to that.
Yeah, and since we've taken back wetlands, we're gonna
Yeah.
have more.
More ads, okay. Alrighty.
Although that may be offset by special permits for greater than 6,000 square feet. I guess we won't have those. Those will be now at
ZBA.
ZBA.
Okay.
Finding anything weird in
Um,
this miscellaneous?
really, I mean, general code was posted there last year, so that might be why, instead of in professional services.
Oh, okay.
We did have a Gene Shepherd septic pump out that was posted there last year, probably for this building, maybe.
That's
Or next
the wrong
door.
place.
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah,
Next door, whatever.
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Next door.
It was the tear down of it.
Apartment.
Well,
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
Mhm.
Odd place to put it, but yeah, the expense makes sense.
Yeah, closing it, yeah, that's
Okay.
septic, yeah.
So that's
Probably
1,200
cut it a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So you want to take it down from 5,100?
like 4, 3.
put it at 3,
Yeah.
since you sent me the September numbers on Friday, didn't you?
Mhm. Yeah, I just looked, you're like just shy of 1,000 through the end of September, so. I think you
So
can
that's,
cut it a
yeah.
little.
That's all I had for that section. Okay. Justice Court?
The biggest increase there was the part-time clerk, just reflecting, she got a little bit bigger increase, than the 3.7% that most people got, but that was in part due to last year.
Who was that, Amber? I'm sorry.
Michelle. So she was, her hourly rate was like way below other clerks. She stepped in when Nancy retired and helped to get Claudine up and running. Things are just busier and she's spending more time there. So she got adjusted up, and so that's the biggest part of the increase for her this year.
What was that rate, the increase?
She's up to $29 an hour. And our, let me just see, I have
Almost an $8,000
and some of
increase.
it's more hours too. She's putting in more hours. Just the way the court cycle, the workload, and things like that.
Has it increased? I mean, obviously the workload, if they're putting in more time.
Yeah, and we can, if you'd like, we can have the judges come over and speak to that.
Do you use a standard increase for salaries?
I did across the boards. I think Michelle's was the only one, just because she'd asked for a large increase last year, and so she was only stepped up halfway,
Where were you, like 3.5%?
3.7%.
3.7?
Yeah, she's on track. So if you look through August 31st numbers, she's at 16,000 so far through August, and that would track to 25,000 by the end of the year. So then the increase up to 27,000.
The next one in that section I had was interpreter.
Mhm.
They've used 1,800. I thought maybe we could drop it down to 2,500.
Instead of 3.
Yeah.
No, because if you take the 1,800
Run it
through
out to December.
August and run it out to December, that would be 2,700.
Okay.
And then if we put a cost of living increase
Yeah.
in, we're up to 2,800. So I mean, we
Okay.
could drop it
Yeah.
to 2,800.
At that point, it doesn't make a difference.
What is contracts? I mean, we have a balance, pretty healthy balance thus far.
That's mainly made up of like their copier contract, and then they use like a collection service, like an outside service that follows up on people like paying their tickets and stuff. So I think we pay them like a portion.
But but last year we budgeted 6,750 and we have 5,350 remaining for the year.
That's 7 to 6.
Be something at the end of the year they pay out though.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me just look at where we landed the year before. So I didn't bring the 2023 numbers in.
Yeah.
Showing 6,300.
6,300 for 2023.
So,
So 7?
yeah, it's at 7.
Yeah. So that's where it should be.
I mean, we could drop it to like 6,550.
Since you've been missing column on all this, which is the actuals for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm still very curious as to what we spent on outside counsel in 2023. How can we acquire that number?
So we can just
Pull all of the vendors that we.
Would you mind doing that for me?
Sure.
Thank you.
So why don't we print out the final?
That's what I was just gonna say. I can just send you the 2023 report.
Yeah, I mean, just so you have totals.
Yeah.
She'll pull the other for you. I did base professional services on 2024, whereas 2023 might be higher, but hopefully we won't be
Oh, yeah, no,
Experiencing.
absolutely.
a
It's always
2023
good
issue.
to see where we ended up the year before.
Mhm. So did we want to adjust interpreter and contracts down just? Slightly?
$200.
Yeah.
Let's see, 118,000 kicks 1%.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where it matters.
Yeah, just, you'd have to find 590 of those little cuts to get up to 1%.
We might be able to do that.
Do we have 590 lines in this budget?
Talk about death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly.
Supervisor section?
Get rid of the supervisor.
Their job will get a whole lot harder.
Let's say, have at it. There's a couple hundred checks to be signed in the other room. Hundred emails.
Good job cutting here.
But like longevity, I guess that's an extra salary piece for the length of time employed.
Yeah, according to our. I think
Could you
it's-
guys speak louder?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, please, thank you.
I was just trying to figure out the longevity bonus, and is it based on years served?
Yes, so at 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years, depending on when you started, it used to be a percentage of salary. So it was 5%, 10%, 15%, and 20% of your salary was added on for longevity. And I can't remember how many years ago it was changed so that instead of a percentage, it's changed to a flat dollar amount. So if you've been here 5 years, you get $1,000 longevity for, each year, and then it goes to 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000.
Okay.
So.
And I guess some of the people listed here are also paid in other sections.
Yes. A few people,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so you've got Christina is in the town board section, in the supervisor section, in the town attorney section, and a couple of committees. Shelby, Barbara, Judy are all here. There's Judy, yeah.
But there's no summary. Okay,
I have that, we can get that to you.
okay.
I think, Shelby, you updated it? I had one going and then you updated mine, or did you do yours?
I just did mine with your numbers.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So
Does yours have the 2024 column as well? Or just 2025?
update, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's get mine updated, just because it is good to see the comparison year to year. We can get that for you. And something like what I had originally wanted to do in this budget and then had to dial it back, as you can see, there were some salary increases for the staff, Shelby, Barbara, and Judy. When you get that, you'll see where people are as far as per hour salaries, just to be able to compare, and you'll see disparities within the organization. New hires, in order to attract new people, we tend to have to bring them in at higher salaries, but then it's unfair to the existing staff that someone who gets started within the organization who might be in a comparable title are now getting paid less than current employees. And then if those current employees leave, then we have to bump up the salaries in order to hire somebody new. Wouldn't it be better to retain the people that we have instead of losing people? So, but I'll get that for you.
In addition to the fact that the staff is, we have a high quality staff. We
Mhm.
want to keep them.
Yes, yes. And the staff wear a lot of different hats too. That's why civil service is really hard for us sometimes, because they have specific duty statements for a position, and our people are like doing that, plus that, plus that. So,
That's why you find them spread out all over the budget,
yes.
Yeah,
because they're different hats.
Mhm.
we should have a page that consolidates them all.
Yes, we do, yeah. Yeah, and mine even has, like, we started a couple of years ago just looking at the clerks, but I've also included department heads. And again, you see disparities between department heads. So, yeah, I just need to update my spreadsheet.
What happened to ADP?
I was gonna ask that question too.
We added another module, time and attendance. We're trying to bring, how we, like, people are turned, like, historically have turned in time cards. They now, like, the police department, the highway, and fit center, were the pilot people this year who now can enter from their computer, from their phones. There's also a time clock system for people at the fit center and for highway, so that they can do everything electronically. But that ended up costing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Substantially.
When's the last time that we reviewed the ADP contract vis-a-vis other providers that are out there?
I know under Arts Administration, 20 some odd years ago, they went from AEP to Paychex.
Mhm.
And then I think a couple of years later, either under Alfred Kilb or maybe early Jim Doherty days, went back to ADP.
Okay.
It's a huge undertaking to
Mm.
change the payroll system,
Okay.
but it could be looked at.
Whenever I've done it, I always found it worth it. And does ADP also do the healthcare management as well?
No,
So they're not PEO?
no.
That could be another huge savings, but not for this budget, but.
Yeah, I mean, we just spent a lot of time last year getting the time and attendance ready to roll out for this year. A lot of staff hours, we had someone coming over from Riverhead as a consultant to help go through the transition. So if we were to change, we would be going through that again.
Okay. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, it is a huge cost, but
Yeah. So the previous, they just did a time card, filled it out manually and turned it into their whoever
their
department
department heads, yes.
head.
Mhm.
So now they can sit at their computer and
Yeah, so
enter.
it's- Yeah, I mean, there's still some, you know,
It is a jump. It's over, what is it, over
yeah, it's,
$20,000?
I mean, there are some, you know, some department heads who are happy with the change, and then we do have some people who are not happy with the change, because it hasn't, you know, it never works as perfectly, especially in our organization, because people wear different hats and have different job titles.
Right.
So it's not like they just get posted to one place.
Yeah.
So it's,
They do time cards for each position they have.
yeah, or if they're logging in, then there needs to be a manual adjustment that happens on the back end when things get posted by Judy and Shelby.
Sounds very efficient.
It's never efficient. There is no perfect time. Payroll
That's
system.
true. We've gone through a number of payroll systems. They're all a pain in the booty. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is something, could be looked at. It's a project.
Yeah.
Human resources?
Yeah, at some point, I think Coco would like to come in and talk to us about that. So we'll skip over that for now and schedule her.
Which is no over, so she had no overtime, but you're scheduling in $2,000 of overtime.
Yes,
Okay.
just to cover other meetings. And then she also is in a couple of different lines.
Oh, so it's this plus,
Mhm.
okay, got it.
Now below that, you have service contracts.
Oh, actually, before we go down there,
Okay.
one of the things that had been requested that I took out of the budget was Spanish translator.
Mm-hmm.
Blanca has been acting for different departments when there's a need, going over the building department or helping us out over here. So the request had been made to add $1,000 as a stipend for her, popping out, but when I had to make cuts, I took that out, so I just wanted to.
No, it's not the same person that's up here,
That's just at the court.
up just up here.
Yeah,
I mean,
and she's on site,
yeah, if it's something that happens frequently,
Mhm.
if she gets pulled in a lot, I wouldn't mind giving her that stipend because it's not necessarily her job description to translate for people. So if it's something that we use her for,
mhm,
I think it's fair to keep that in.
mhm,
I myself have used it quite a few times.
mhm.
Hmm.
And it said we can't bring in the court translator because that person comes in specifically for court dates, is not on site during business hours, like Blanca is,
Right.
so.
And then what about the service that the police use?
Um,
Is that something, we'd have to get an amended contract to include the town facilities, like the
Mhm.
town hall and that you have to call in for the
yes.
translating service, which is sufficient.
Mhm.
How does the police use?
They use service,
I know, I blanked on the name.
I know.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
language, thank you.
So you call them and they translate over the phone?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Maybe we could get a demo.
Yeah,
But we
but I
also find
think
out what
we'd
the
have
cost
to
is.
stay on the contract,
Yeah.
which is not
Yeah.
super cheap.
Could we look up Language Line to see how much we pay them? I wonder.
Because
Just
that
this year?
was-
Mhm.
Could Blanca do some of that? Is there a crossover here?
No,
No.
because they're on the road,
Yeah,
like they pull
in
somebody
the
over.
field, they pull someone over, they need a translator,
Yeah,
they
you
use
need
that.
that.
Tell Blanca around. You go on right along.
Yeah, so this year, it's only $261, like, that the police
Mhm.
pay. And I guess Justice Court has used it too before.
I do agree with Megan, because, my daughter's a fluent Spanish speaker, and she always gets a stipend at all of her jobs for doing random translation around the office.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, pulls it away from whatever she's working on,
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
it seems fair if she's providing a service for the town.
Okay, so put $1,000 back in.
Going the wrong direction here.
No,
I
I
know.
have cuts later on, don't worry. I have cuts later on.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, so
I'll
then,
donate my salary increase to Blanca.
Perfect. In the human resources section, there's office and miscellaneous, service contracts, and association of towns. Service contracts, the department requested 1,000, but we put in 2,500. Their services, or do we know?
Where are you, Meg?
I'm on that first page. Yeah,
Page
human
4.
resources.
Page
Page
4,
4, human resources, yeah, right there.
at the bottom.
there was a reason, and there,
I'm sure, yeah.
there are times where you'll see a department head request, and I've actually put in more because I'm looking at either trend of where things are headed most of the time.
Mhm. I wasn't sure if some of that was. Because I know she was.
Yeah, drawing a blank too.
There was a reason, and now I'm drawing a blank.
I mean, I know she was looking at different programs to help manage some of the HR stuff, I was
No.
wondering.
That's the 10,000 in software programs to
Okay,
get like a proper human resources
right,
program, and I cut that out. I will find, you.
okay. I'll just highlight it.
Yeah. It's something that was in
Somewhere else. like a-
the supervisor contracts.
Mhm.
It have something to do with the handbook.
Oh, yeah, updating
Yes,
the handbook.
updating the handbook,
That makes
thank you.
sense. Okay,
Thank
that
you,
makes
that was
sense.
it,
Coco spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah.
we keep a distance.
An independent audit, I guess you just applied the 3.7%. That's what it looks like.
Probably.
I found from last year in their engagement letter, they give us 2 years always, so I just took whatever
Right.
the number was in their engagement letter.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's actually more than,
Yeah. Tax receiver. Is Anne Marie gonna wanna come in?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Asking for more?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
put in a higher amount and I
And give her
scaled it
the-
back.
Assessors, you said Judith wants to come in.
Yes. She put in for a part-time assessor and I cut that staff position back.
Yeah.
Not back.
All right. Now Pat, is Pat taking on more hours?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we took her from 20 to 25 hours this year. And with the reassessment and the amount of work that's
Mhm.
going to take place next year and the restructuring of the office, Judith had requested more for her staff.
Okay.
So the part-time assessor you've nixed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was the thought that she could train someone before there's a retirement?
Possibly,
Okay.
Is that on the horizon?
possibly. We don't know.
We don't know
sure.
for sure, I'm just speculating.
You bumped her up, I mean, it's $600 above her request.
That was 3.7%.
Okay.
I did the math.
Yes.
It's,
Did you guys already crush the computer software issue
Oh,
under tax receiver?
no,
There's a balance of a little over 2,800 remaining for the year. Is that,
it has to do with timing.
Yeah, it renews at the end of the year.
is that what?
I think it renews at the end of the year.
I have an invoice for her actually for next,
Oh,
it's
all right.
25.
2,500, so that would clear that out, so, okay. You could drop it down to $3,750.
Assessment Board of Review. What are the four members? That doesn't matter.
So you have Joe Messing as the chair, Peter McCracken, I think Reeve Thompson. What am I missing?
They really get paid $127.88.
Yep.
98.
To have people come and complain at them. It's literally a job definition. People come in and complain about their taxes. That's their job. To listen and hear the complaints.
$128.
Yep. Now they've finished this year, right? So is this, all their expenses are done?
Mhm.
So 1,600? So we could drop this to 18 or be safe?
Which line are you on?
I'm on,
Page 6.
1356150. 1, 3, 5, 6. Assessment. Yeah.
So you're talking which number?
The
Office and miscellaneous?
office and miscellaneous, it's.
Where you make-
Oh. for
Page
the
6. Oh, but at the top.
Page, yeah.
That, the clerk salary gets,
Oh, okay,
it gets spread out through the entire year.
okay, so
Yes, so while most of the work happens in,
in my head, I
April
switched it
and
with
May.
office and miscellaneous,
oh.
and I was like mailings and such, and I was
No.
like, oh,
Yeah,
then they're gone, but that's, okay, never
Yes.
mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
so, yeah, during assessment review, we,
Yeah.
almost
Mhm.
100% of the clerk time is there, but rather than sit and slice and dice hours that way.
Yeah, no, that
But-
makes sense.
yeah.
In my head, I had it as like office and miscellaneous, I had
Mm.
switched them, and I was like, well, they've already paid out all their mailings and advertisings and.
And some of these numbers could be low next year because,
Well,
no,
the
actually, the
revale will be
revale-
out, they might be high. The
there's
revale's
going to
out,
be
yeah.
more people.
Complaining.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's going to be a whole education thing that's going to need to happen next year. Is explaining to people that if you're at 68%, your house valuation was this, but you were paying 1/100th of the town's tax bill in the 100% reval, like, unless there's like vast changes of, inland properties going up or down by a lot, or same for, the waterfront properties, you're still only paying 1/100th of the tax bill. Like, it doesn't matter what the denominator is.
What does that re-education cost land?
Hmm?
What does that re-education cost land?
It's going to be timed by Judith.
So it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's there'll be an extra mail in yourself.
Yeah.
Is that accounted for?
I think so, in the office and miscellaneous.
Vehicle mason, summer intern.
Yeah, there's an extra $175.
But the Board of Assessment Review may be putting in more time next year.
School travel mileage. How does that?
Where?
Assessors section,
Okay.
page 5, bottom.
Mhm.
What's school?
There's training that the assessors have to do.
Got it.
Now, some of that could be for the new hire, but if the new hire is not going to be,
Hired.
Possibly, I think,
Judith does a
Yeah.
lot
I was gonna
of
say,
conferences
yeah,
and
Judith has training. I think Laurel has some training.
Okay. Town clerk.
Yes.
We ask Amber to
Yeah.
leave?
No,
she's taking minutes.
She's actually here she can explain. She put in for a new hire, somebody that would have an archival position, and I slashed it as something we can't do this year. That needs to happen future year.
Is that the archival position with the police department going through the,
No,
no,
this would have been for our whole department.
oh, okay.
This is, historical society is completely different.
Yeah.
This would have been for someone in office to start the
Okay.
process.
Of digitizing everything.
Correct.
Now, did we get the program? You wanted, was it microfiche? No. What was it?
Laserfiche.
I keep wanting to call it microfiche. Laserfiche, okay.
So I did a budget transfer from this year to implement that for next year, so we can start.
That's on,
That's free.
that's I think
Yeah.
on tonight's budget transfer
Okay,
list.
yeah, I thought I saw it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm sure Amber has already apologized for this, but
It's understandable.
you watch how hard you people work in there.
So you didn't use any overtime this year?
No, I excluded Saturdays. So we didn't have to pay $10,000 in overtime for 4 hours on Saturday. Everyone requests everything beforehand, that they come out and visit Beach Park and Stickers, because that's all that you really do on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Everyone emails, ask you to mail it out before they come out, so I saved $10,000.
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Purchases.
Good job. Yeah, I like it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't use the overtime this year, but the request went in for the same 10,000 and I slashed it 5,000, but
Well, maybe once we get the Laserfiche and people start working, there might be certain projects that Amber wants them to take some extra time on.
So you think there'll be a little overtime to implement the Laserfiche?
possibly, that would be an Amber question. The other Amber.
There is going to be a few hours of overtime. Because it's so hard to do that job while you're doing the other.
I also cut you back on Association of Towns from 3 people to 2 people,
It's okay.
especially with the elimination of the new hire.
Office and miscellaneous went up from last year.
Yes, I'm hoping on grants or the digitization, but if not, that's my backfall. And also we just started Edmunds, which is a software program, so that's the yearly maintenance fee. We're gonna get a terminal, so we don't have credit card fees, so we can add that on top of it. Can go down to 10. I'll just-
Credit card fee, can you pass that on to the,
That's what we're doing for this year, yeah.
That's
But the way
why,
that it's set up now, you cannot.
that's why I eliminated that line. Credit card fee charges.
yeah,
Yeah, it was 2,500 for Edmonds and then 8,500 was just the usual cost.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, if, like the extra 2,000 was just increase or if that's what your scanner would cost.
And I'm willing to take it down to 11 or 10, but really had high hopes.
Well, you'll need the scanner.
I was
if
gonna
you're
say-
do the Laserfiche. So
I don't
think
even
it's-
know how.
Leave it as is, because
Honestly, that's
you need all those pieces in order to make that work.
Yes, yeah. And 11,000 doesn't cover the scanner.
No.
That's just the Edmonds and usual.
Okay. Office and miscellaneous went up for attorney.
Yes, that has to do with LexisNexis.
Oh, okay.
The,
Yeah.
the software that we took it up this year, that had been using was not robust enough. It didn't have, like, court cases and rulings and things like that that
Yeah.
are needed.
Makes sense. Now, Green Options still had money from a grant or something. Is that in a
Yes.
different line somewhere
No,
else, or is that
that's-
in office and miscellaneous?
That's an office and miscellaneous. So 500 is sort of the basic office and miscellaneous for,
Right.
their share of copy paper, copy of costs, things like that. The remaining 2,900 is what's left from that grant.
Okay.
So this is going down.
Actually, it's 2748.
To be exact.
Yeah. And what happens is that grant money, it was received and then it didn't get spent the first years, or just little dribs and drabs, so it rolls into fund balance. So
Yeah.
then we bump up their expense for 2025 and we pull it out of fund balance. So if you go back to the cover page, you'll see that 2748 is a rollover.
Yeah, okay. Public Works. Now, personnel services and Public Works, that's contract based, or is this,
Yes,
okay,
except for
Ken?
Ken, who's on his own line, and also the clerk.
Okay.
Like personal services or everyone else who works there.
It's also split over many categories.
Yeah, you'll
What
see.
was that?
we-
I'm sorry. You
Oh,
you guys are like
Yes.
talking, and
Yeah.
I'm struggling to,
Yeah, the highway, public works, landfill, that's, people are split in different categories. And if you look at the online version of the budget,
I was looking at that, the balance we have 86, a little over 86,000.
That's salaries to pay out by the end of the year.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just confirming that that is driven by the contract, the union contract, and not necessarily like, we don't have play in it this year.
Yeah. It is a substantial increase proposed.
the reason being is the way that Ken has moved a couple people around. So that he had an extra position available across all the budgets, and he moved a new hire to do more public works things. So it's just the way he's utilizing people, so he wanted the budget to better reflect how those people are getting used across the organization.
Okay.
So they're not out doing highway, brush clearing, things like that. They're actually working on buildings and keeping things up to snuff.
Okay.
So that was a new hire
Yes.
this year?
Mhm. But it was in the budget for last year. Somebody had left and it hadn't gotten filled when someone had retired or left. And so they did get hired this year, and the skill set that they were hired for put them into the public works line.
All right.
Town landings is going up. Not insignificantly. What's the reason for that?
Is that the landing that washed out? They have to rebuild the bulkhead.
Oh, down the Conic Avenue, that one?
It might be. We can have Ken come in and explain it. Bulkheads. Yeah. It looks like they're gonna do an extra, either jetty or bulkhead.
Actually, part of that is he is not using the rest of the money. He's only used just about $3,000. So that extra 8,000 he wants to let roll back into fund balance in 2024. So we're adding it to next year and pulling it from fund balance. So again, if you go to
From jetties and
cover.
bulkheads?
You'll see jetties and bulkheads and town landings, 28,000. So he's got two categories where in order to accumulate enough money to do the project, he's letting it roll from this year to next year, so he has funding.
So the theory is, didn't spend it this year, but we're gonna spend it next year.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so that increase isn't $8,000 of that increase is not costing us anything out of
It's
this
just
year's
like a
budget.
rollover from this year to next
Yeah.
year.
And are we gonna remember that next year when we redo this again?
Yes, because we have in the page one cover sheet, jetties and bulkheads and town landing, 28,000.
Okay.
So when we go to look at it next year, same with green options, we look at it every year, same with the Waterman program. Every year we look at it, say, okay,
What about parks and beaches? We have a balance at 19 something
mhm.
for this year, and there's appropriating 40,000. I don't know, is that,
Well, I don't think, did the highway guys help at all with the dredging and spreading the spoils? Did we use any of their time for that? Because it wouldn't have been built out yet.
I have in here that there's deferred maintenance on the top lot,
Yeah,
so we put some room in for the equipment.
Okay.
And he prefaced it with, someday that line is gonna need to be $200,000.
Yeah, to do the tot lot.
Yeah.
Playgrounds are really expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
what's that?
It's to do maintenance on the tot lot. There's pieces of equipment that
Oh,
need to be
frustrating school.
replaced.
Mhm.
yeah.
And so he put that in the budget.
I mean,
That's
so
why Parks and
that's-
Beaches
yeah,
is high.
that's part of the park part of it, but there is also beach maintenance that takes place as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of broken plastic in the tot lot. It's just, the sun wears it out and now it's cracking and makes sense.
Meant that, thought you said broken glass.
No, no, like the tops on some of the little things are cracking from the sun and little things.
I think a lot of the playgrounds these days too have to be like the ADA accessible, and so I'm sure that costs a lot of money.
And the base that goes down.
Mm-hmm.
There's gotta be a grant out there for rebuilding children's playgrounds. There's
We
gotta be.
definitely
We'll look
talk
for
to-
it.
Yeah, we will
They're
definitely,
expensive.
I mean, we did that on a shoestring. Let me see now. Ivy was 2 and she's now 30, so that's, they're 28 years. And a little bit of equipment's been replaced over the years, but not a lot.
Mhm. So, yeah, there's nothing's really changed except, what you explained on the, town landings, and then the salary shift.
Well, the other big one is town hall and other buildings and the Goat Hill. Because that we're over budget because of, we are responsible for the structure as well as the equipment in there. And so there was a lot of refrigeration that needed to be replaced this year. And so that's happened. But next year, a new hood is needed, a new oven is needed. The floor is very soft in spots, and so joists underneath the kitchen need to be replaced. ADA ramp needs to be put in, and some windows need to be replaced.
Well, then is 50,000 enough?
Well,
Because the old budget was 70 and we
well,
blew that
no,
out of the
50,
water.
yeah, 50,000 is for town hall and other buildings. The next line
Oh,
down,
okay.
like
Extra
70,000
I
is
see.
just for
Goat
Goat
Hill.
Hill.
Okay.
And a lot of it is deferred maintenance. But next time that lease is up for renegotiation, we need to,
Yeah, work on that.
we need to consider how much money the town is putting into that. And the Goat Hill Foundation, they are the ones who reap the benefit because they use the money that they get in their lease agreement to maintain the grounds.
Building. So basically, the town is paying to maintain the building and
Mhm.
getting none of the rent.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a
Mhm.
community amenity.
Yes, it is a community amenity.
Hmm.
So that was a big increase this year.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I don't know. That seems out of balance.
What, the Goat Hill?
Yeah. But it's,
Well, I mean-
it's in the structure of the
It is a town,
transaction.
yeah, it's a town asset, and it's,
The numbers
we might be paying for golf course maintenance.
Yeah.
So indirectly, how would you cover some of
I
that?
gotta pull that apart. How long is the lease for 1901?
I can't remember off the top of my head. We will pull it out.
Sorry?
I have the contract. It's in SharePoint. The contract for 1901 and Goat Hill is in SharePoint.
We might not be able to
Yeah,
reevaluate it for a couple of years.
exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
But it just
Well,
seems out
that's,
now.
and the GOAT 1901, that's an underlying contract with the Goat Hill
Foundation.
Foundation. I have to pull the Goat Hill Foundation lease agreement.
Maybe the answer, since foundation is raising money to do things around Goat Hill, they need to take on some of these maintenance responsibilities.
That's how we would want to rewrite the lease.
Yeah.
But then,
Okay. All right. Yes, it needs to be looked at and pulled apart and put back together.
mhm.
town board repairs and maintenance.
Page 8 or
Or
next
town
page?
board buildings, yeah. On page 9, top of page 9.
Oh, yes. There is an extra $100,000 in there, which is Joe's estimate on what is needed because we are considered non-public community water systems in these buildings. And the county is, just like they did with the Presbyterian Church a number of years ago, we need to get into compliance. And so that cost, as well as ongoing maintenance, is what accounts for that increase there. But 100,000 is, what it's gonna cost to get us in compliance with the county. Our alternative could be to drop a well in Sachem's Woods and bring municipal water to us. And that cost would be spread out over a longer period of time. I don't know what that cost would be. I don't know if Joe has talked to them about that. But it is a different way to fund what we need to do with our water systems in town hall. And
The requirement is only drinking water, it's not septic.
no, it's, yeah.
Just
Department-
drinking water.
Yeah, they just want to make sure we don't kill anybody.
And that's the estimate that we have, 125.
Well, 100,000 to get the systems up to where they should be, and then the rest of that is
Maintenance.
maintenance. And it's not just water maintenance. I mean, there is an increase because of the water maintenance, but there's other.
Do we know when that has to be done by? Have we gotten any ultimatum?
Let's have Joe come in and
Okay,
he's got the details on that.
all right.
Another person for you to schedule. But yeah, that was basically a 1% increase
Mhm.
right there.
But that can be covered by grant, huh?
Um,
Didn't we just get a grant for?
That's for
Municipal-
that's for wastewater.
Okay.
I mean,
If
if
we
we,
could convert it to water,
yeah, it could be converted to water.
but it wouldn't be to cover filtration. I don't think they would cover filtration.
No, I think we
It
could
would
use
cover
it if we dropped a well
well.
and brought a line down. It could be used for some of that.
And the wastewater treatment that's needed will probably eat most of that grant.
It can't be used, it's one or the other.
Yeah,
It can't be both.
okay.
Because I've been going through what
Then
the
let's-
EPA contract covers in it. You can do a one-time transfer, but it's either or, it's not.
Let's leave it where it is then,
50-50.
because we need the other thing too.
Well, I mean, the water thing would make the septic thing easier. If we had
Yes, it would make it
the
less
well
expensive.
with municipal water here, it would make it much simpler to do the wastewater portion. We could apply for another grant to do the wastewater portion, because you'd eliminate all your well septic setbacks. That's our biggest problem here, is that everything is way too close. And if you eliminate the water aspect, then it makes it very easy to site the wastewater. If we keep everything on individual wells, it's close to impossible to site the wastewater. That's the problem we've had all along.
It could also help the library if we could also let them tap into it as well,
Right.
because they're dealing with the Department of Health, trying to get their setbacks.
They're
Their
having
process,
problems getting approval through the health department.
And if we use that grant, okay. Yeah, it can only be used for municipal.
Right,
Yes,
right,
yes.
right. It wouldn't have any residential, it would just be municipal government buildings, like the town buildings.
And if it's easier to site the septic, that means the septic is less expensive.
Yes.
Right, right. And then we could apply for grants, because it would be easier to get the project from A to Z. With less variances and everything else. So it'll be more cost effective.
And there's, if the proposition on the ballot in November passes, the county will have more money available for IA systems. And we also have money in WQI ourselves that could go towards
Right.
our septic needs as well. Our wastewater needs.
Yeah.
It's just how we want to put the puzzle together.
It almost makes sense.
But we'll have Joe come in and go over that with us. When you say almost.
It's okay.
What's the
Almost.
yeah.
I always reserve a little bit, just in case.
Assuming electric, telephone, fuel is all pretty standard at this point, we know what our receipts are.
Yeah, and that's why I took fuel down,
Yeah.
because
Prices dropped a bit.
prices came down from where we were anticipating last year, and projections, when doing some research for fuel costs into 2025 should not be spiking. So,
I mean, since prices have come down, I mean, do we have the opportunity as a municipality, and I don't know, to lock in prices for a year or two, like private business does?
no, usually when the bids go out, because I know also the same is true of fire district, it's a lock-in increase over the rack price, like, for propane and for fuel oil. That's the only lock-in that they ever give us.
What's the overtime for?
If we have staff that are out, then we need to, somebody has to cover it, so it's, we, Coco covers some of the media stuff, Christina does, but if we've had instances where Jess has had to come in and cover a meeting, a nighttime meeting, either a town board meeting or it's mostly town board meetings. Yeah. Yeah, on the maintenance, there is a detailed list.
Yes, so there's a little bump in maintenance.
Yeah, it's
Did we get the grant too,
the grant
from the
for,
cable division? But that's for 2022, what are we using that for?
that, I think will get used this year, but it's
Oh,
add-on
right.
stuff, it's not in this budget. So when we get that, we'll bump up the expense and the budget at the same time. But the Yeah, it's like we've got, there's a whole list in the maintenance budget that adds up, and I think, looking to see what the $5,000 increase was. I think it's the annual cost of the Laserfish.
Oh,
So this year, the signing on is costing us 10,000, and that includes training, and then the carrying costs going forward is an extra 5,000.
okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, there's DR backup, IT management software, EEC labor, threat locker, Duo, SonicWall, antivirus, GIS, cybersecurity training, Proofpoint, email accounts, email backups. SSL for impact, I don't even know what some of this stuff is. Vulnerability scan, channel 22 backup, the website costs, all that's up to, and then laser.
I can make a copy of that if you want for everyone.
It's pretty good with his budget.
Yeah, yeah, and we,
So you can see what's,
we reviewed it at IT committee meetings.
All right, town board, other items, insurance.
Can we go back to media?
Uh-huh.
Just the maintenance. What is involved in the maintenance? Is that contracts with East End Computers or?
Yes, yes,
It's a whole list. Shelby's gonna make a copy of the list.
It's everything Kevin needs to make it run.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, maybe I was talking too quiet. It's like the DR backup, IT management software, EEC labor, threat locker, Duo, SonicWall, antivirus, GIS, the website, channel 22 backup.
So. And the Laserfish is in there somewhere?
Yes,
In this one?
it's, we're going from 100,000 to 105,000, because Laserfish is about 4,900. And on the equipment side, the 33,000, that's generally for 10 computers, a copy machine. He looks at rotating out, I think he's trying to do every 5 years, replacing a copy machine. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer. A server, there's various servers around town that need to get replaced every few years. Cameras, monitors, Wi-Fi upgrades, UPS batteries. Yeah, just
Thank you, Shelby. That's right.
not to pick on Jerry, but last year he was like, oh, we're gonna cut 5,000 out of their budget. And it's like, no. Here's a list. If you're gonna cut, then you tell us which one you don't want. Say virus. Oh,
Yeah.
no one may suggest cutting anything.
I'm not. Town board, other items, contingent. Kind of 125,000.
Last year in contingent, we were in contract negotiations this time with both highway and
Oh, right,
PD.
okay.
So that extra 125,000 was to cover those
Right.
contract increases.
Okay. Makes
Judgment and claims, 72,000. What was this?
was your settlement at the beginning of the year?
What did we sell?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes, yeah.
what was that, Shelby? Measurements?
Larry Devine sued the town for the cost of replacing bulkheading across from his property. So that was that cost there.
Where's this property?
On the way into, yeah,
Third Bridge.
Oh, I remember this, okay.
yeah,
And we paid him, that's right, okay.
we paid
It's coming
like
back,
half of the cost of,
got it. Association of Towns is only $1,500.
that's
Or
just the dues.
Yeah. Still pretty low.
Mhm.
MTA tax.
What is the contingency? Walk me through that line. We the proposed was 225,000.
That was last year's, and last year it included the contract negotiations that we were undergoing during this time period last year. So we had an extra $125,000 in for PD and highway contracts. So rather than tip our hand to show what we were proposing while we were negotiating, we put it into contingent.
Now it's actually in the budget.
So it's now, yeah, it's in the budget, and we can take the contingent back to historical level.
Okay.
Other uses for that money, we expanded the second cook in the nutrition program last year, at the beginning of the year. So we pulled 27,000 out for that. We had to pull 1,800 out for the increase in the LexisNexis for the town attorney's office and miscellaneous. And then we also had not properly posted 2023 IT equipment into that year, so we need to pull it back out of fund balance, out of contingent this year. And then we had the amount that we put in for the highway contract, I believe it was, we had to pull a little extra out of that. So we have only $2,000 left in contingent through August 31st.
Good to know.
Yes.
MTA tax.
That's just based on salaries. I got a spreadsheet. I've done a little bit.
Metropolitan Transit Authority.
Yes, yep. We are subject to it out here.
Police. Another one where personnel is contract driven.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's negotiated at the county level, isn't it?
No,
No.
we
No, we
negotiated locally.
Oh,
And last year, we negotiated a 2.4% increase. So we did well on the negotiating front there. And highway, that was a 3% increase.
Right.
What was that, Amber?
Highway was a 3% increase for the 3 years.
3 years?
And police,
Yeah.
2.4% for the 3 years.
It's a lot of longevity in here.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Kind of.
Their longevity is percentage based.
Right.
Oh. Different than every other, okay.
Well, employees hired before a certain date, non-union, are percentage based as well. It's only the newer hires, like Shelby. She gets an extra 1,000, that's 5%, so it seems a little unfair, but again, this is not a year to try and make things more equitable.
Yeah. This is all contractual, so.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I took down was like boat gas and oil,
Mm-hmm.
because the way,
Prices
yeah,
have gone
prices, yeah. Office and miscellaneous, I took up, there was a reason I took up from his budget.
There is a subtotal sheet. If you go to page 54, it shows like a breakdown of their equipment and their maintenance. Because we roll it all into one line, so we don't have multiple extra lines.
Does the chief wanna come in and talk to us? Or is this,
I
okay,
Yes, I think he was gonna come in.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's always just for learning purposes. Yeah, I think office and miscellaneous I just took up because it's trending higher.
Yeah,
If it's 13,555 through August.
yeah, they're already gonna be over.
Yeah, and I think even in the 2023 year, it was over as well, so.
Jail attendants, we dropped them down. Have we just had fewer overnight arrests?
Yeah, and with,
Yeah,
police reform,
you're right, people
are
are
people are
released.
released.
That's the case, can we go lower?
it's 2 million, 2.5 million? 6,
2.7, really.
yeah. That's 20% of the budget? 18? Or 20,
Yeah, that's 17. It's total appropriations of 17.6. 15% of budget, is that what you said?
yeah.
Good math in your head.
Big chunk. But, yeah, a lot of personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, total personal services across all departments is 42% of the budget. And then if you add in employee benefit costs and payroll taxes and insurances,
Another 15% on top of that,
that's
15 to 20%.
27%. So
Another 20%?
27%. Mhm.
For benefits?
Mhm.
That include vacation?
Mhm.
It's a substantial increase, personal services, this year, for the police.
It is contractual.
Right.
So you've got just the 2.4% increase. There are some newer police officers who are moving up in steps. And then we do have our newest police officer, Jalil, in for the entire year in this.
Right, he was only in for a couple months this year.
Right, yes, because of the timing of the police academy starting, looking ahead to potential retirements in the next year or two. It takes over 6 months, almost 9 months to get a police officer up to operating on their own, between 6 months at the academy and then 3 months of on-site training with another police officer.
Yeah.
And we had 3 really good candidates. You
We
all
did.
We
recall.
did, we all
Yeah.
interviewed them. Which is, we have a pool now, we have, if someone does retire, they're ours.
Yes, if they don't get scooped up by the county
That's true.
or by neighboring
Yeah.
towns.
Animal control, I didn't have any notes.
Yeah, The jails won't really change.
Yeah, I took 2,000 out
Yeah,
of jail
yeah.
attendance.
Control officer.
What is, holiday pay? That gets paid once a year or something?
That's if they work a holiday.
Mhm. Yeah, their pay structure,
I
like,
mean, there's nothing as of so far this year.
it gets paid out at the end of
At
the
the
year.
end of the year.
Yeah, I think in December.
Because Bo's here, he's also in the police department. So, yeah, that's a summary of, would be helpful at some point.
Mhm.
That's page 50. That's 54. No, I will.
No, I mean, for all sort of personnel that are serving in multiple departments.
Yeah, it'll be part of it.
It's hard to
Yes,
see.
yeah, yes. That salary summary has everybody's total,
Mhm.
because yes, he's in part in police and in part animal control.
Yeah. Well, he's also in Bay Coast.
That's part of police.
Police.
Yes.
The new car, is that the high water vehicle?
Nope.
No, that's just a new car.
Yeah.
That's being paid for by grant.
50%, yeah, 50% grant, yes. But that's not a police vehicle, that's.
Emergency
Yes.
services.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this car that's in the police line, that 52,000 or 55,000 is for a new
A new police.
cruiser, like a
Yes.
patrol car, right?
Yeah.
Where's the old one go?
It may be sold, just to offset some of this cost, or it gets pushed down to other departments. It depends on what the needs are. It might get pushed down to senior services, because they're looking for another car, but it might have too high a profile getting in and out for the senior services.
Yeah, that's true, gotta climb up.
Mhm.
Once they're in there, they're locked in the back.
That's true. Yes.
Get trapped in the back there.
Yeah.
It's only a little anxiety provoking.
Control equipment. Is there like, if Jenny do, if she like finds a dog somewhere, like there's no place to put them, other than keep them in the car?
She brought my dog back to her office and I was there to help her and played with him.
Yeah, we used to have on that green space off of Bowditch Road, there was
Yeah.
a kennel for the dog, but that's been disassembled,
Yes.
because she, one, it didn't, there's not supposed to be structures on there, and two, she hasn't found any, I think she may
She-
take the dog home if she
Yeah, I
doesn't
was gonna
find
say, I
it.
think she just plays with
Yeah.
them until they
Yeah.
can find the owner.
Yes.
Dedication.
If she can get my dog, she'll put him in my house.
Yes.
If he
Yeah.
would, if he allows himself to be captured.
And she has her network of people, so if she finds a dog in the Heights, or one time there was like a rooster that was like, had gotten away and was like crowing in the neighborhood, so she's got her people that she'll like text, like, are you familiar with this dog? Or,
Do you know this rooster?
have you seen this rooster nearby?
Oh, I usually
They're
get,
trying to track him
Benjamin,
down.
your dog's loose again.
Yeah.
But if you're away and she has to deal with Bear, take Bear home?
Oh, yes, her and Bear are good friends, unfortunately.
NIMS Emergency Management, do we no longer have a contract with somebody?
Yes, that was the,
Code Red?
code red, thank you. I'm
Okay.
like, red is in the word. Yeah, code red, so now that we have Notify Me,
We can get
that's,
rid of that.
we're getting rid of that, code red.
Okay. Alright. So this is gone.
Well, the equipment piece is still
Still.
there, and that gets paid later in the year.
So you're doubling, what is this? You're doubling the social worker. What's the
What is
history here?
in there is, she's scheduled for 8 hours of regular social work time and then 8 hours of a week of opioid grant. So half of that increase is funded through the opioid grant.
Okay,
There was a request, and looking at her time, like what she's needed to put in, that was originally the 55,000, but we unfortunately, she's gonna need to be held to the budget. But the Health and Wellness Alliance, when Nancy Green spoke at the Shelter and Reporter event, she put in a plea for increasing the social workers' hours because there is a need in the community
oh, sure.
for her as a resource.
So how many hours is she?
She's in the budget for 16, of which half is opioid and half is just regular resource driven.
So 32 hours,
It's 16 hours a week,
16
days a
total.
week, yeah. It's,
So
It's
half of this
woefully low.
44 is, no, sorry. A quarter of this 44 is funded by a grant.
a half of the 44 is funded by
Half
a
of
grant.
it.
Yep. So for the 2024 adopted budget, we had 21,000 in for her, but then we increased it to cover because of the grant.
And did we have a grant last year?
We have a 3-year grant.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funding, it's a $100,000 a year grant for 3 years. 70,000 goes towards assigning a police officer to the East End Drug Task Force. So the overtime that's associated with covering that police officer being gone for a month to 5 or 6 weeks is covered by that grant. And then the social worker is the other portion of it. There's some programming, like, was it last week? 2 weeks ago. A week and a half ago, the program that was put on at the school, that.
Their program or the fire,
Yeah,
the
Hugs came and then,
active shooter?
no, the
No,
active shooter was paid for by the Suffolk County.
it was.
They paid for
Okay.
the trainers to come over. So we just had a little bit of overtime costs associated with it. But yeah, that wasn't part of it. So, yeah, we had Jackie Canavogel came to the school and gave a Hugs program to the middle schoolers, the high schoolers, and then the community and parents. There's another speaker coming in October, and there's another speaker coming in November, and it's all part of the opioid grant.
Okay. And so even with this being covered, all right, so we're still looking at 10%. Okay. It's,
So just because we were talking about the Health and Wellness Alliance, they do want to become an official committee. Did we include them in here? I
No.
don't see.
No,
Okay.
you had mentioned something to me, but I was like so
Yeah.
focused on where am I going to slash that I forgot to put that ad in. But
because that means we need a clerk.
yes,
Right, and a nominal budget.
yeah, it will be a small, but we will add.
It would be the Health and Wellness Committee instead of Alliance.
What is the status of that, Meg?
They want to become
Yeah.
an official committee. We have a meeting,
Friday?
let me see.
Also mean,
I saw something of the
also means we need 2 liaisons.
It's,
we already have, you're one of the liaisons.
I am, and then maybe
One,
Albert.
I was gonna say one of the
Emma?
two.
I didn't even know that.
At the
Thursday.
beginning of the year when we assigned, when I signed liaisons, it was on that list. You're gonna go get it, Amber? Yep. Okay.
Thursday at 3:00 here, we have a health and wellness meeting, the 24th.
Who's the other liaison?
Albert,
Oh.
myself.
This looks like, I've never heard of this.
Time's the meeting?
3:00 on the 24th.
I have it taped to my desk. It's Ben?
Oh, it's Ben?
Oh, it's me. Thursday, what time?
Yeah,
Thursday,
so
the
Albert, it's not
24th
you.
at 3.
It's been,
Albert, it's not you.
24th?
Yes.
Ben, not you.
Oh, okay.
September 24th.
At 3:00. Here in the boardroom.
For your point, Amber has a medical appointment to leave for, so we're gonna stop at 11:30 just to let everybody
Oh,
know. our
So
time.
how are we gonna
Just
progress
get
with
that
that health and wellness committee?
Um,
What has to take place? We have to,
They're going to come up with a mission statement. We will formalize them as
Okay.
a working committee.
They want to do 6 meetings a year, not 12 and not 4, so it'll be those 6, and we'll schedule those in advance, just like we do all the other
how
committees.
many people?
They're still trying to decide that.
Oh, okay.
They're looking at the skill set that they currently have in the committee and seeing what skills they'd like to add, and then they want to advertise to fill some of those positions, so it might be a larger committee.
Okay.
So we'll see how it shakes out, but that's part of what they want to talk about at the 24th. I gave them a whole list of questions. I'll forward you the email of
Okay.
things that they need to consider and think about before we reconvene. So I'll send it to you. Or Benjamin, I guess.
No, it's a terrific thing. I
Yeah.
think it needs to be a committee
Yeah, oh, I
involved
think,
with the town,
yes.
without a doubt.
And
also, so we have like who from the community, I assume the ambulance people are involved, or like what segments of the community are involved in
no,
this?
no, it's
social worker,
social
Social worker.
worker.
seniors, so Laura Finelli from Senior Services,
Okay,
two social workers.
Yeah, Gina Kraus is involved. We have some child psychiatrists. We have some other social workers. It's a pretty dynamic group of people. There's one person who specializes in drug rehabilitation. There's, I'm trying to think of who else. It's a pretty good group of people. I'm gonna forward you the email about organizing the group, so I'll send it to them,
that would be great.
to everybody.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna forward it to the town board.
Mhm. So there's been a meeting.
Yeah, there've been meetings. I was like the liaison to the unofficial, or just sort of like their conduit to the town. Jim Colligan was that person before. They organized during COVID to help address some of the needs that were arising because of isolation and stress and everything. And so they kind of organized themselves during COVID to help the community. And they found that there was such a need that there's been a void when dealing with, mental health in the community. And so they've wanted to do some programs with the town or in town buildings, but because they're not an official town committee, it's hard to kind of negotiate that. So that was one of the reasons why they want to become an official branch of the town committees. That way they have more use of town resources, they can use the buildings, they can come up with programs and,
It's a need that's not
it's-
going away, so.
yeah, it's not gonna go away.
Yes.
And it's a pretty, great resource for the town.
It'll be I guess, a public facing portion of their meetings.
Right.
But then there'll be an executive session because they do get into discussions about individuals in the community who might need assistance.
Right.
So then, just so the public is aware of that there is some sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can add that, Shelby, we can add the health and wellness committee, like somewhere after social worker fits into that area, I think.
Yeah. Do you have some like numbers to throw out there that you could email me?
It's really just,
Clerk?
it's 6 meetings a
Like
year, a
office.
clerk, and like $200 office, I don't know. They might wanna do a mailing or something.
Yeah, okay.
Like 650 for the clerk, similar to some of the other
Yeah,
smaller
like-
committee
Mhm.
operations. But we can,
Yeah,
if they're gonna do 6 meetings, we can take a clerk salary, hourly rate, few, number of hours and
figure that out.
yeah. EMS, when I spoke to Jack about this, we don't have a commitment yet from Stony Brook, but we're going to presume that they're currently paying for 1/4 of the fly car coverage. And they call it fly car because it's the car that flies to, it's the first responder. So we're just hoping that, so this 431,250 in there for the advanced life-saving coverage is 75% of the cost. So if they don't come back and are willing to continue funding that,
We have an excess.
we will have a bigger increase.
When will we know that? Do we know?
I'm not sure. We can ask
Okay.
Jack.
Okay.
And what's the story behind canceling the longevity increase?
We need to continue investigating that with Labor Council because it's a stipend position, and so we need
It's
to,
come up before.
yeah, it's come up before. We thought we concluded that the position was not eligible for longevity, but Jack has raised it again. So I put it in as 0, thinking that last year's decision stood, or previous year's decision stood, but we just need to
Okay.
look at it because there are other stipends within the community, within the organization that held by full-time people. He's a little bit different because he's in the police union and then this, so.
Who's the Labor Council?
Zuckerman, Keenan Bean.
Hmm.
So that one, we need to be continued. One of the things just to note in the EMS budget is that the town has never had to kick in and pay for an ambulance. That's always been paid for by fundraising on the EMS Foundation and by the Red Cross prior to it getting transferred to the town. So while this is a big budget, we are very blessed.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Communications, it looks like they asked for 15, put in 9.
Yep. There was a reason. I think that there was
Yeah, I know there was,
something to do with radio purchases that I don't think,
did we use ARPA to buy radios? I know we covered extra police radios
we-
last year or
yeah,
something.
and EMS radios. Let me
Yeah.
just. Pretty sure I have a page on that.
Modified budget 62?
That happens when we get donations, little like sporadic donations from the Ambulance Foundation through the year. A lot of times they'll like reimburse us for equipment that Jack purchases, and then the foundation will cut the town a check to cover it. So that's why the modified looks so high.
Okay.
Maybe it was radios. I know they had radios for the
I
ferries.
think it might be
For the
that.
ferries.
Yeah, there was a reason, just where they were, what was in that line and what I thought would be continuing and not part of these extra purchases. That's why I cut it back.
Okay. Center seems the same.
Yeah, I've never looked at this lease or the town owns the building,
Mm-hmm.
so the repairs and maintenance, it seems like a crazy low number, but this is what? From Ken?
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, because we did a major renovation when Stony Brook moved in, and so everything is in pretty good working order.
Okay. Yep, and we still pay electricity for function or?
We pay electricity, and then we get reimbursed by Stony Brook.
Okay, so that's on the income side, this is just the
Yes.
expense side.
Yes, yeah, so part of their lease agreement covers that. Dr. Kelt is in a different situation, just because he's a sole practitioner, and the outcry that happened when, Keith Kelt, so he
I
got,
remember bumper stickers.
yes, so he got a better deal than Stony Brook, which we'll see what happens. That lease is coming up for renewal.
Okay,
Highway.
he's not taking any new patients, Cal, is he?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And so we paid Potter tiny amount of money, and
Yes, and so when it just,
It started during COVID.
yeah, I was gonna say, it was during COVID, and he was like the on-site medical director that was needed for the vaccination pods,
Mhm.
and just having him be available to come in if there's another health crisis, or if we need advice on something.
You might be able to use him with the health and wellness allowance, so.
Oh, that's a
it
good
would be
idea.
Good,
No, that'd be very good.
yeah,
Does he help with blood drives or?
he helps with all kinds of things.
I mean, it's not a lot of money.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
seems like, okay.
For the highway personnel services, is that not contract based? Is that why it's
Correct.
less than?
That's part of the salary for the clerk. So we
Okay.
have a portion of the full-time clerk salary in here. There used to be a portion for part-time clerk, but she's not coming back to highway. She's
Okay.
going from full-time between PD and highway to just part-time at PD.
Okay.
And
What's her name again?
Amanda?
Amanda, yeah. But Catherine's hours have gotten increased from 35 to 40 to cover the difference. And she's been instituting some efficiencies into the organization so that it's less time is required.
Okay. Office and miscellaneous, they're already over, so that makes sense.
Mhm.
So where on the budget sit, I mean, equipment, a couple $100, but yeah.
This
There are all
is-
those trucks in the back of the.
That's in,
That's in-
so, yeah, this is sort of the administration of that office, whereas the DA and DB is where you see the rest of the personnel services, all of the equipment, snow and ice removal, all of that. Yeah, I think one year I started to move stuff over here and it was like, because Riverhead handles it differently, and then Dottie had done some research and she was like, no, you have to separate them back out again. So
Okay,
I thought I was making the budgets easier, but I wasn't.
Town board, street lighting. Explain.
If you look down the.
They got a couple of lights out
Not
there.
on Bridge Street, yeah.
Yeah, there are some streetlights all, scattered around.
Pay for electricity, what is this? Or just maintenance of the
Yeah,
lights, changing the light bulbs?
PSEG bills come out of there.
Where are the lights out of Bridge Street?
There,
They, right, there.
Yeah, right in
the
the,
shops.
yeah, right in the bend of the road, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, on the poles.
Yeah.
Never looked before, now I'm going to.
Yeah, as you go down to Preston Beach, there's a couple lights down there.
And does this run afoul of our dark sky laws?
No, they just have to be facing down.
We actually got a complaint from PD that the streetlights in the center here aren't bright enough.
Mm.
When we had the lighting of the menorah and the Christmas tree lighting and the caroling, because they were having trouble seeing where the children were running around and they were in the streets and they were having trouble seeing. So they're like, we might need to like fix the lighting here in the center for events like this, so it's safer.
Or move it, aren't those like lights in Fisk Field or something?
Yeah, but the
Another
Christmas
game
tree's
light.
over here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is the motion detector work here? Like
You know,
it did
it's
your
on
bid?
again, off again. I've talked to Ken about it
Yeah,
because
okay.
the one day after, I think it was planning board or ZBA, we're all standing in the parking lot like, it's pitch black. And they weren't going off. So he's been working on them. They're glitchy.
Yeah, one night I walked out, it went on, the next night I walked out.
Yeah. And then the one in the back
Yeah.
wasn't on, and then as I drove by, it went on,
Yeah.
but
It's
All the controversial subjects we're dealing with, there could be someone hiding in the bushes.
it's true. There's always the deer. Sneaky and wily. Have to
Ooh.
Be careful of them.
I almost hit one last night.
Yeah.
Came very close.
turkeys.
There's turkeys, yeah. Turkey bowl.
11:23, okay.
Maintenance management. So.
Are we on waterways management?
Yeah,
That's just clerk.
clerky, that's fine.
Online mooring is in, yeah, online mooring is in there.
Is that the bump?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Waterways management, you
Yes.
said online.
Yeah,
Okay.
Online mooring.
Is that working well? Is that helpful, Amber?
Prairie flood mitigation, that came out this year, so we don't have to pay for it next year.
And that was grant funded,
Yeah. Very steady, clear.
or mostly grant funded, there may be like a $10,000 cost.
What's up? It's not, I mean, it costs millions of dollars to fix the docks, but what's this for?
This is a study that will come in with
A
recommendations.
study?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Publicity for the fireworks? Do we need that? Oh, I guess we did use, no? We
Yeah,
did use
we
it. Oh,
Because there's a foundation that manages that and takes donations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't this live there or?
That's where it goes. The town contributes $500 a year to
Yeah.
fireworks.
Sure.
Ferry study clerk, do we need a clerk for that? I mean, Joe kind of manages that project.
No,
Or is this a
that-
different ferry study?
this is the
Oh, the
committee.
The committee.
It's the committee.
Ferry
Yeah.
study committee, got it,
Yes.
got it. Okay, that makes sense then. And Legion, okay.
What do we do for the Legion? Is this just a donation to them?
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right.
Now,
Yeah.
now the town owns that building.
Yes, they gave us the building.
Okay.
They retain use of the floor.
And there's no, they gave us the building and they live there for free.
Yes.
Is that in perpetuity?
Amber, you looking at the clock?
No, I was listening to see if they were in the office.
No, I
and
didn't know.
needed something.
if it was
Oh, but yes.
getting 11.
in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Appreciate it. When can we do the bowling league? It's the bowling.
I bought
I
from
know
my
not this
house.
year, but
There was a.
Shelby will
have
contest.
we started a campaign to raise
I offered
money
my
to
house.
host bowling?
And Michael gave me a more accurate number, and it's more like $400,000.
200,000 a lane?
A little bit more than we were thinking with like the 90.
Yeah.
All right.
I was gonna do half of that.
Yeah.
It's a worthwhile.
Knock on wood, they haven't been
Yeah.
breaking down lately.
Knock on wood.
I know.
All right, I can rethink this.
Mhm.
I can rethink
So
this.
keep that estimate in your mind.
400?
Okey dokey.
All right, so I think this is before we dive into nutrition.
Yeah, I was gonna
probably.
say, I got a lot of highlights on this one.
Yeah, so why don't we stop here? Friday is our next budget meeting?
Yes.
Thursday.
Thursday, from 1 to 4.
Okay.
Sorry, when?
Thursday from 1 to 4. Oh, yeah. Calendar there.
And it's also on the town calendar.
And Anne Marie wanted to come in at 1 o'clock, so maybe can we start in an executive session? Like, just to give Julie a heads up, like,
Yeah,
Yes.
we can always.
Maybe come in
Go and then, yeah.
and I will reach out to some of the other people that we talked about.
So we will adjourn this until Thursday, 1 PM.
Sounds like a plan. Need a motion. Is that-
Say yes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.